Star Wars only. I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
The future of Star Wars is at a very interesting moment, if you will. We don't really know what's coming next with the films. We know we're going to get a film in 2022, but that hasn't really been overly confirmed recently. I mean, that just was reports coming from places like the Hollywood Reporter that we're still getting that 2022 film. Who is it going to be from? We don't know. Is Rian Johnson's trilogy still in the works? All signs point to yes, but we really still have no idea. We don't have a release date, we don't have a story idea, nothing. The future of Star Wars when it comes to the movies is kinda in the air on what's gonna happen. But when it comes to the TV shows, that seems to be the short-term future for Star Wars. And Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, has just confirmed this in the recent quarter earnings for Disney, saying on Tuesday that the future of Star Wars is in TV, and they're kind of taking a little bit of a break from the movies, of course. And we know that the break is going to be between 2019 and 2022, and we're in 2020 now. So we have a good, 2 years, but technically 3 years in terms of it being released in like the last month of 2022 as it is. We have a good 3 years before the next Star Wars movie comes out. There's a lot of possibilities on what can happen. And we know that the future of the franchise is kind of in the shows right now for a variety of reasons. The Mandalorian is the most well-received Star Wars project since 1983. I don't really think that's up for debate or up for grabs or anything. The prequels were divisive, the sequel trilogy are still more or less divisive, but everyone loves The Mandalorian. Everyone loves what's been going on over there from Jon Favreau, and it seems to have laid the groundwork for what can possibly be the best of Star Wars in terms of television. I mean, we have the Clone Wars, which is great. We have Rebels, which people liked, and Clone Wars is coming back this month in February, but The Mandalorian has really captured audiences and the internet by storm, and I think it's a good idea for someone like Disney to look at that and say, why don't we minimize the risk of a box office flop like Solo: A Star Wars Story, where they lost $50 million, mostly due to the reshoots. Why don't we just spend $150 million on a season for The Mandalorian and then get our numbers for Disney Plus to skyrocket? I mean, if you remember the report that came out, I think last week, saying that Disney Plus has like 26 million subscribers. That's a lot of money. And that's basically covering the cost of making The Mandalorian. And one of the things that is kind of something you have to remember when it comes to making these kind of shows like The Mandalorian, you're paying a lot up front, but you're waiting for the subscriber number to go up, and it's going to go up constantly as time goes on, and as it keeps going up and up and up, they're just going to make their money back twofold. And so I think it's going to be a weird time for Star Wars fans to be seeing a lot more shows that are live action, that are made like films, but not actually films. And they might sometimes be better than the films. We have The Mandalorian Season 2, which was announced to be coming out in October of this year, 2020. And we also have the Kenobi series, which is supposed to come out next year. I don't know how that's going to happen, because the production for it's not going to start until January of 2021. And then we also have the Cassian Andor show that's supposed to hopefully come out in 2021 as well, but we don't know. And those two shows are the ones that I'm not overly interested in. The Cassian Andor show personally, the Kenobi show of course, but the Kenobi show is also kind of having its own little drama behind the scenes that isn't ideal in my opinion. So it's weird to think that Star Wars now has a questionable future when it comes to the films, because I think that that's where Star Wars always has lied, where its heart truly does lie, is the films, and that's where it's always remained strong. And kind of what we look at Star Wars for, we look at it as a film franchise, as it started as a film franchise. But 2022 Star Wars film may be set in the High Republic era. But let's say they don't do the 2022 film. Even if they do, the big thing going into these new films is the fact that we're now entering unknown territory for Star Wars, at least in the film sense, because we knew what was going to happen when they announced Episode 7, 8, 9. They would continue the story of the Skywalkers. They would continue the story of Luke, Han, and Leia, and what happened after that. But we didn't know if they were going to make more films, what those stories would have, and there's not like a outline of ideas of, well, you need to do this, that, and this and that. I mean, they decanonized the expanded universe, and they're making their own expanded universe, but literally the world is their oyster when it comes to making the Star Wars universe films now. They can do whatever they want, and the question is going to be, what are they actually going to do? So when it comes to the 2022 Star Wars film, when it comes to a potential Rian Johnson trilogy, which I know a lot of people don't think is going to happen, and I completely understand that point of view, but I just think that a lot of things are going to be up in the air for Star Wars over the next 2.5 years at least, because Kathleen Kennedy's contract ends in 2021, in September of 2021. She could extend, she could retire, it's probably going to be up to her. And then you also have someone like Bob Iger, who's probably going to be the main guy who makes that decision, who also leaves Disney in December of 2021. And so those two people leaving, possibly in the year 2021, leaves the future of Star Wars up for grabs at the end of that era, and would really dictate the future, because the next Lucasfilm president we're going to get is going to be around for, I would say, a good 10 to 15 years at minimum. And then we're going to get a new Disney CEO who's, kind of the ending point of the hierarchy for Star Wars and the direction that it may go. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the future of Star Wars. I'm excited to see what happens just because I like talking about this stuff. I love dealing with the behind-the-scenes production aspect of these movies and how they're made. But I do think for Star Wars fans, the future is a little unclear. What is clear is that the shows seems to be where they're going to mainly focus on due to the low risk and seemingly high reward they have compared to the films. But I would really like to know what the future of the films is going to be like and how they're planning it. Because if they're going to do the Rian Johnson trilogy, they need to get started pretty soon on it. If they're not going to do it, just spill the beans and finally say, hey, it's not happening. Is Taika Waititi directing his own Star Wars film? Where's Kevin Feige fitting into this? Because he's supposed to develop his own Star Wars film as well. There are a lot of possibilities in the Star Wars universe that makes it a lot more interesting to think of the future of the franchise, but we don't have a clear direction at the moment. And for me, that's a little concerning, but they have a good while to plan this out. But like I said, in 2021, a lot is going to change where the powers that be may not be there anymore. And that also will dictate the future of the franchise as well. So, just some food for thought. What do you guys think about Bob Iger saying that the future of the franchise for Star Wars right now is the shows, and that the movies, as we know, are taking a hiatus? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and may the Force be with you always.